How's everyone doing this morning? Hey. How's it going? Hey Addie, long time no see in book club. How's it going, girl? Hey Anya. Good morning, good morning. Plus side to have, I mean, I guess the only, well, hey Tiffany. Yes, happy Tuesday to everybody. It's true, it's true. The only plus side is getting to come to book club, right? Oh my goodness. I am tired. Woo, excuse me. Anyone else tired? I sure am. It's turn. Is Roll for Slime on here tonight? Yes, unless somebody signs up for After Dark, Nagisa. Yes, that's the plus side, getting to come to book club. So tired. Do you have your coffee, Priscilla? Do you drink coffee? Who are my non-coffee drinkers again? Besides Becca? Becca's a non-coffee drinker, which is always wild to me. I have tried to purchase coffee for Becca when we're together before, and I always forget that she doesn't drink it. Like, I'll go up to the counter and I'll order mine, and I'll be like, oh, and what do you want? And I'll turn to Becca to like order her cup also, and she's like, Sasha, you know I don't drink coffee. And I'm like, right, sorry. Because it's just so baffling to me that anyone wouldn't drink coffee, that's like the one thing, you know, like, you guys know I'm really good at like remembering different things about all, like, everybody, all my friends and everything, and the one thing I can't remember about Becca always is that she doesn't drink coffee or tea. Just drink anything like that. Isn't that shocking? How do you live through having triplets without caffeine? I don't know, man. It seems wild to me. That's what I'm saying, Tiffany. That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, Addie, it's not just me. I'm glad that it's not just me. I feel better then. I feel like I'm not so much of a jerk then. I only drink coffee if it's from Starbucks. Oh, really? Exclusively? I'm not an exclusive, I'll drink Starbucks in a pinch, but I like my coffee from here, my house, my coffee that I make the best. Like, when I have to have coffee somewhere else, I get kind of sad, and then I get happy when I get to come home and have my coffee that I make. I'm just a little bit more, you're an equal opportunity coffee drinker. So is Secret Fiance. Secret Fiance is like, whatever, as long as it's got caffeine in it, I don't care. Like, he literally doesn't care. You guys, when Secret Fiance and I first met, this man was drinking some of the worst coffee that you can imagine. It was like, it was real hard to stomach. And so I slowly started to bring things to his house to make coffee better. Like, I was like, every day that I would go there, I would like show up with like, oh my gosh, I brought you a present. And it would be like something to improve coffee, just like slowly but surely. Brought a mocha pot, brought a frother, brought better milks and different things like that. And then when he got to come down to have like coffee at my place, he was like, oh, this is really good, the coffee I made. And I was like, yes. I can't make it the same as Starbucks does. Starbucks is okay. My go-to at Starbucks is just a quad espresso over ice with half and half, because I can't stomach a lot of their coffee because it tastes burnt. Wasn't he a black coffee drinker also before you converted him?
No, he wasn't a full black coffee drinker. I mean, he can drink coffee black, but he did put milk in his coffee before. But he was not a full black coffee drinker, no. But, you know, when you make it with love, it just tastes so good. Iced white mocha, yeah, I would not be able to have that because of all the sugar. Starbucks is out of town, so you get... Oh, yeah, you have so much coffee in Washington. So much. I like their new drink, the blue one with the red bubbles. I saw a picture of their new drink, and I wanted to interpret it into slime because it was so beautiful. I think I'm going to make that drink into a slime because it's just so pretty. That blue one, Anya. Isn't it gorgeous? Yeah, I want to make it into a slime. I think that's fun. Yeah, refreshers are good. I used to get refreshers way back in the day when I was allowed to have them. And I would get them with like extra like fruit chunks or whatever. Well, hello, Kayla. I'm so sorry that your day's been rough, but feel free to stick around. We're going to have a lovely book club. It's good? Yeah. I bet it would make a good slime too. What was I going to say to everyone? I was going to remind everyone that I am dragon fruit acai refresher with lemonade is so good. Yes, that was a common drink that I got when I was able to have sugar, definitely. Just a reminder, there is no book club tomorrow through Sunday. I know that is a really long gap in book club, but okay, Jack, we'll see you later. I'll have this up by tonight. I already put up the first episode from this book, so you can start catching up with it, and you'll have a couple of days to catch up on it while I'm gone. So I will be gone Wednesday through Sunday from book club stuff because I am getting married tomorrow. So that's exciting. And what? And can we tell the audience why? Because I think they need a refresher. Oh yes, because I'm getting married tomorrow. Thank you, Nice. I appreciate the forgiveness. We are going to have a relaxing weekend in Vegas just because we never really get to relax. Thank you. Yes, he will be secret husband when we return. So that will be fun. I will try to get some no face photos for you guys. I like the light pink on you, but that texture looks horrible. Oh my gosh, it's so soft. It's like literally the softest thing on the planet. That's why I wear it, because I'm really texture sensitive, actually. It's extremely soft, like baby puppy belly soft. It's so nice. It feels so good. I am super texture sensitive, so anything that's rough, I'm not gonna wear it. I'm definitely one of those people that cannot handle like bad textures touching my skin. It is like a worn down towel, but like your favorite good towel, like the softest one you've ever had, like the really good terry cloth ones. That's what it feels like. So you're right, it does feel like a worn down towel, but like not the old cheap kind, like a really good one. This was a gift from my sister-in-law actually for Christmas. She did a great job putting together Christmas presents. So yeah, look out for that. Also, just so everybody knows, to Thursday morning is the last day to get pre-orders on Patreon. Patreon pre-orders closed that day. Just got here. Book club paused for a wedding. That's super thing. Yeah, just for a couple of days. Not very long time, Sloth. I'll be back next Monday. So if you are on Patreon and you want to put a pre-order in, do it by Thursday. Of course, Jen, it's already in the mail, literally. Well, that's not true. Let me refresh. It's already packed. It goes to the mail today. Y'all know I pack them all night, and then the next day I do book club, and then I go to the post office after book club. So when I say in the mail, I mean like, you know how fast I do it. You don't have to, Jen's not worried. I don't know what I'm talking about. What time Thursday morning? No, you can have all day Thursday if you need to. We must have missed a season. No more Germany. Yeah, no, that's happening. So to get married in Germany, you have to be legally married in America first, and I have to have all of the documents to change all of the paperwork for a couple of weeks before we can go. So because we're going to Germany in September, we needed to get legally married in June so that we would have time to change IDs, to get passports, to do all of those things. And you are not allowed to legally get married in Germany if you are not an EU citizen, which we are not. Some countries like Italy, England, other places like that, you can get married there even if you are not America, or if you're not from their country, but Germany does not allow that. So we have to get legally married here first, and that's why we're doing that. So Germany is totally still happening. I'm not wearing a wedding dress tomorrow. I just got like a cute sundress. The wedding dress is still happening. The ceremony's happening there. I thought you were talking about your book for a second. I was like, what? I'm sorry, Andrea. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what you're talking about, honey. Yeah, lots of stuff to do. I also still have a New York ID, so I need to get a California ID, and I didn't want to do that until the name change went through, so I can get it with the new name on it, blah, 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 blah. So all that jazz. So anyway, the long and the short of it is no book club from tomorrow through Sunday, and if you want anything off of Patreon's pre-order, he does. Yes, Anya, he absolutely does. He has a lot. Like 40%. Oh no, Andrea, that's real life. That's a real life thing. That's not just a book thing. When we messaged the place where we are having our ceremony in Germany, they said you can only have symbolic ceremonies here, which is fine. We're fine with that. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not a big deal at all. No plus club to set an alarm. Yes, that's true, but don't get used to not waking up because Monday you have to be back. So I love fictional things. Well, fictional stuff's good, but real life is good too. I don't know. I mean, a real life wedding is real good. We're going to celebrate tomorrow as our anniversary date because it's such a cool date. It's 6/12/24, which is like a freaking cool day. So, you know, it's really hard to not have that one. We picked it specifically because of the date, you know? And then Germany will be like all the really beautiful photos and then a honeymoon. You know, Germany is our honeymoon more or less, even though we are having a ceremony there. So yeah, should be pretty great. Will you ever close Evergreen inventory after Thursday also? No, Evergreen just kind of goes in a circle. So what happens with the Evergreen slimes is that, as it says on those listings, if I have it in stock when you order it, it will ship out right away. If it's not, if like a bunch, let's just pretend that like 10 people order Evergreen stuffs in the same day and I only had 9, I'll ship out 9 and then I'll make a new batch. It might be a day or two before I make a new batch, but then the next person will get the first one from the next batch. I don't think there's anything in Evergreen that I don't have in stock right now, actually, because I just made new batches of everything. I just made a new batch. Oh, you know what I don't have? I don't have putt-putt. I have to make a new putt-putt. So you're right, I don't have that. I will not have putt-putt in stock again probably until Monday, to be honest. So if you want that one, I would wait. But gas jelly's in stock. The Relaxy butters are in stock. Winter Wonder butter is in stock. Hamilton cereal, I've still got plenty of because I took it down to count. I can put that back up. Pretty Putty is in stock. Good Hurt is in stock. Any gas lime, all of mine got used to oblivion. Anya, have you considered trying the new Bingsu one? I love hearing happy people talk excited about their wedding. Good for you. Oh, thank you, Kayla. That's very sweet. Thank you. You know, we're not actually having like a wedding. It's just us. You know what I mean? Like it's an elopement really. Like we're not having pomp and circumstance or anything like that. But, you know, anyway, let's read. Because, y'all, we have roll for slime tonight. It's really good, Anya. It's a really nice one. It's the black one that looks kind of like oil slick, and it comes with a gas can. My niece loves Bingsu, and I wasn't expecting it. You know what? A lot of kids do. It's still fun and exciting. Oh, yeah. I found a jar of unopened black tar. My brain was so happy. I got a message from a person who has been buying from me since before I worked at Slumu, and they used to come to the conventions that I went to with their kid, and it's an adult who used to go to the conventions with their kid, and she became a fan of my slime through being with her child about it, which a lot of people do, so great. She messaged me yesterday. She has one of my thick and glossies that's a similar recipe to black tar that I made in 2021 for, 2022 for the carnival restock, the blue milk one. She just found it, was like, oh, I'm gonna reactivate that. It'll be fun, blah, blah, blah. Didn't need any reactivating. I swear to God, the glue that I use for those thick and glossies lasts forever. When Arbitrary Canary got her first Hamilton cereal, she was like, oh, it's been really hot. It was in my mailbox. I'm gonna have to let it sit and I'll activate it when it's ready. I was like, you don't have to. She was like, well, it's gonna be sticky. I was like, it's not. And she was live and she was like, are you sure you want me to do this on live? Like, what if it goes everywhere? I was like, trust me when I tell you, this slime will not get everywhere. Open it right now. And she did, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're right. It doesn't ever get sticky. I was like, there's just something about it. Are you getting your hair done soon? I don't know. What's different about the clear baking base as opposed to the Skittles base? I don't think there's anything different. Can you make slime? No, I do not know how. I don't think there's anything different about those bases, Brittany. It was like 6 months old. Yeah, hers was literally from summer of 2022 when I got back from Italy. I don't think it's me, Kayla. I think it's the glue. I don't think it's me. I'm not even kidding you guys. So why is your name Slime Girl? Oh, I don't know. I just like slime. A lot of people have slime accounts who don't make slime. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who just review slime. They buy stuff. And I also love Chris Coffer. He's literally one of my most amazing favorite authors on this planet. And we're going to read from him right now. So let's do it. We are going to read right now. To anyone who doesn't know, every day I upload whatever the episode of the day is of us reading this. I know the book is gorgeous to YouTube, so anyone who misses a book club day can catch up. I have a couple of days where I'm going to be away, so you have plenty of time to catch up. You don't like slime, Sasha, don't lie to the public. I'm sorry. I was just trying to fit in, Naisa. I just wanted to have friends. I did it to make friends. Skittles is looser and stickier. I'm confused by it. Really? Maybe it's because it has less beads, and so it feels looser? I'm not sure, but it is the same base. I make one giant batch and then I split it amongst all the slimes. That's amazing. That's very, very good. She really wants floor slime pad. Yeah, I really wanted it on the floor slime pad, but I couldn't find glue. It was sold out everywhere. I'm just gonna make it on the carpet to spite everybody. Oh my gosh, if I poured like by a lot, was it like in a warm place for a long time? That's the only thing I can think of because mine's still good here. Try using a double strength activator to activate it just a tiny bit and see if that works. Okay, so today we are reading chapter 2, and chapter 2 is called Happiness. Or if you have any contact solution, Brittany, that might work. Maybe it's shipped in different weather. Yeah, I don't know, because they do use the same base. Any slimes, any clear beaded slimes that are made in the same week, unless I make them on live, they use the same base. Is the tail end of Magic on the Tube? It is. I uploaded them this morning. I had tried to upload them yesterday, but they all failed, so I re-uploaded them this morning, and the first one of this is up on the tube as of this morning as well. Speaking of Spite, no one's asked to be a mod yet today, so I will ask to be a mod in Spite. That's fair, Anya. I think that's a totally fair thing. I think book club people are all the next people to get bumped up to mods. I think one day we should just blanketly upgrade all of you book club people to mod one day just to like screw with everyone. We'll just be like, here we go, mods for everybody. It'll be funny. All right, this is called Happiness, which scares me, by the way, because I feel like Chris is a liar. He's the best kind of liar, but he's like a liar. You're gonna get more book club people in here now that you said that. Oh, well, Andrea, you know what I mean. I mean like people that I know. Yeah, I didn't mean like anyone who joins book club. I mean like the people that I'm secure with, you know. Yeah, why not? Have 35 mods. What do I care, you know? After a long day of energetic crowds, magical charity, and not-so-natural disasters, Bristol was looking forward to a quiet evening alone. Unfortunately, as soon as the Fairy Council returned to the Academy of Magic, she realized solitude wasn't in the cards for her. Hey, Bristol, can we please talk about this? Lucy asked. You've given me the silent treatment since we left the Western Kingdom. In all honesty, Bristol was furious with her, but Lucy's behavior at the Western Dam wasn't the reason for her silence. All Bristol could think about was the strange thought she'd had consuming her during the parade. The longer she dwelled on the experience, the more confusing and upsetting the thoughts became. She hoped a little downtime might help her find an explanation, but Lucy wasn't going to give her any privacy. "Come on, Bristol," Lucy moaned. "How many times do I have to say I'm sorry?" "Well, until I believe you," she said. Bristol hurried up the front steps of the academy and climbed the floating staircase in the entrance hall, but Lucy persisted. "Once again, I sincerely apologize for my behavior today," Lucy said with a dramatic bow. "What I did was childish, reckless, and downright dangerous. But you have to admit, it did all work out for us in the end." Worked out? Bristol was appalled by Lucy's choice of words. "You cannot be serious right now." "Of course I am. The crowd loved it," Lucy said. "We gave them a spectacle they'll never forget and a reason to love magic forever." "You almost killed and destroyed an entire city." "Yeah, but then I saved you." "From a situation that you caused. That doesn't make you a hero." "I told you, I never meant to destroy the dam. Honestly, I didn't know what my magic was going to do. I just wanted to give the Western Kingdom a show. And if you had just listened to me, none of that would have happened." Like one paragraph, Ray. I only read this much. Oh, no, wrong page. Well, yeah, that's all I've read so far. Basically, all that's happened is Lucy's trying to say sorry to Bristol for yesterday. That's all. "If you had just listened to me, none of this would have happened." The notion infuriated Bristol. She paused halfway up the floating staircase and turned to Lucy with a nasty scowl. "Don't you dare blame this on me," Bristol said. "You put thousands of people in danger. You nearly destroyed one of the biggest cities in the world, and you almost ruined the magical community's relationship with mankind. Until that sinks in, I'm sorry, Lucy, but you're out of the Fairy Council." Lucy was so stunned, her jaw nearly hit the floor. "What? You can't kick me out of the Fairy Council." Bristol wasn't certain that she could do that either. Until now, the council had never had protocol for bad behavior. "Well, I just did," Bristol said with a confident nod. "You are hereby stripped of all council privileges until you're mature enough to take responsibility for your actions. Now, if you will please excuse me, I have business to attend to." Bristol left Lucy in a frozen state of shock on the floating steps and headed to her office on the second floor. She pushed through the heavy double doors and sighed with relief at the sight of an empty room. The office was a circular and spacious chamber with bookshelves, potion cabinets, and glass furniture. It had floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a breathtaking view of the academy grounds and a sparkling ocean behind it. Fluffy white clouds drifted through the high ceiling, and bubbles emitted from the fireplace and floated through the air. The chamber was filled with unique objects that Bristol and her predecessor, Madame Weatherbury, had collected over the years. On the wall above the fireplace was an enlarged map of magic. The map was covered in thousands of twinkling lights, one for every living witch and fairy on the earth. The lights showed where they were located through the 4 kingdoms and 6 territories. In the back of the office, beside Bristol's glass desk, was a very special globe that showed her what the world looked like from space. It allowed Bristol to monitor hurricanes as they blew across the seas and thunderstorms as they swept across the land, but most important of all, Bristol used the globe to keep an eye on the northern lights twinkling above the northern mountains. "Thank goodness," she whispered to herself. "You're still there." Bristol was relieved to see the northern lights hadn't moved while she was away. She never told anyone why the lights were so important, but then again, no one ever noticed how frequently she checked on them throughout the day. It was the first thing she did in the morning and the last thing she did at night, and on days the Fairy Council traveled, Bristol was always inspecting the globe before and after their trips. The lights meant that Bristol could put her mind at ease, at least about one thing. The day had provided her with plenty of other concerns, and the day wasn't even over yet. "You're making a huge mistake," Lucy declared as she burst into the office, and for a split second, Bristol was tempted to remove Lucy with magic, but she figured that wouldn't help matters. "And why is that?" "Because losing a member of the band always ends up in disaster," Lucy explained. "The same thing happened with the goblin tenors. A few years ago, one of the goblins was kicked out of the group for eating one of the fans, but the decision backfired. Without a 4th member, people felt like something was missing from the show, and everyone stopped going to performances." Or maybe they stopped going because people were getting eaten. Lucy paused for a moment. She'd never really thought of that before, but she quickly waved it off and went back to her point. Look, I understand that I messed up and I deserve a punishment, but you shouldn't put the Fairy Council at risk just to teach me a lesson, she said. Everyone knows there are 6 of us, and that's what people expect to see. So if only 5 of us show up at our events, people will be disappointed. And just like I said at the Western Dam, if we disappoint people, they'll start to resent us, and soon they'll start hating everyone in the magical community. Lucy, I sincerely doubt the fate of the magical community depends on your attendance. Oh, that's so mean. Bristol. Yeah, not at first, but it will, Lucy insisted. Right now, the Fairy Council is the hottest ticket in town, but the hotter the ticket, the quicker it can fizzle out. I've seen it happen so many times I've lost count. When performers get too big too fast, they start making mistakes. They get comfortable. They stop putting the work in to please the people. Corners get cut, promises get broken, and audiences get taken for granted. And just when performers think they're unstoppable, wham! The audiences ditch them for an act that does meet their expectations. Lucy, this isn't show business. Everything is show business. Why don't you see that? Bristol took a deep breath and slid into the chair behind her glass desk. Look, I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just looking out for us, Lucy said. The magical community is safe because people love the Fairy Council. And if we want to keep the public on our side, we can't risk upsetting them. Give the people what they want, and what they want is the best way for our survival. She's right, you know. Once again, the thought came out of nowhere and startled Bristol. You'll never own mankind's approval. You'll have to earn it over and over again until the end of time. Bristol heard the thought so clearly she had to remind herself that they were only in her mind. They may treat you like a savior, but in truth, you're nothing but a slave. A jester in mankind's court, a clown in their circus. Bristol was disturbed by what the thoughts implied. She tried to concentrate on where the thoughts were coming from, but each one entered her mind and left so quickly that she couldn't trace them to a logical train of thought. It was like someone else was dropping ideas into her head and then running away. I can tell I'm making you think, Lucy said. I don't consider myself an expert in many fields, but for once I definitely know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't matter how much compassion the charity we give people, they won't be satisfied until we entertain them in the process. And luckily, I'm the perfect person to help us do that. Do we think the voice will become the mirror? Oh, maybe. I feel like Bristol's meanness is going to transform into some witchiness. It's going to do something, I tell you what, because we all know what happened to her granddaughter, am I right? We all know about that. She doesn't want to help you. She only wants to help herself. She betrayed you for an ounce of attention. She abandoned you for a sliver of glory. Bristol tried to ignore the thoughts, but the harder she tried, the louder they seemed to get. She covered her ears and tried to block them out, but she heard them just as clearly as before. Lucy raised an eyebrow at Bristol and took the gesture personally. Are you seriously covering your ears from me right now? She asked. Lucy, please, I don't want to talk about this anymore, Bristol said. Why is it so difficult for you to listen to me? There's just a lot on my mind. This isn't about the Western Dam, is it? What will it take to get you? This is about the Western Dam, isn't it? What will it take to get you to trust me again? No, it has nothing to do. Then what's the problem? Why are you acting like this? Bristol sighed and sank into the chair beside her desk. Part of her wanted to tell someone about the distressing thoughts, but it was still so confusing she didn't know what to say. Besides, it wasn't a great moment to have a heart-to-heart with Lucy. Or maybe, aside from Sasha, maybe it's the best moment to have a heart-to-heart with your best friend. She wouldn't understand. No one would understand. Everyone will think you're crazy. They'll find a way to use it against you. They've been waiting for a reason to get rid of you. Bristol didn't want to think such horrible thoughts, but she had no control over what the thoughts said. Lucy crossed her arms and studied Bristol like she was a human riddle. Something's troubling you, she said. I can sense it. Trouble's my specialty. I told you I don't want to talk about it, Bristol said. Why not? I tell you everything about me. Please, stop. No. I won't stop, and I'm not leaving this office until you tell me what's going on. Fine. Then I'll leave. Bristol jumped to her feet and marched to the door, desperate for some alone time. But just as she was about to exit her office, the double doors swung open. Tangerina and Skylene skipped inside, carrying praise and request bins. Both bins were overflowing with envelopes. "We've got more mail," Tangerina announced. "You won't believe how much we got this week," Skylene said. The girls were followed by the massive knight with antlers who guarded the border. The knight was dragging 2 enormous bags that were bulging with even more envelopes. "What's Horace doing with the mail?" Bristol asked. "The border's been pretty safe since the world fell in love with magic," Tangerina said. "We needed someone to manage the mail, so we gave him a new job." "Bristol, what do you want us to put the letters?" Skylene asked. "Some of those are for me?" Bristol asked. Tangerina and Skylene looked at her like she was kidding. They're all for you?" Tangerina said. Bristol couldn't believe how many people had taken the time to write her. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of letters, and every one of them was addressed to the fairy godmother. "None of those people actually care about you. They only want something from you. They'll always want more and more. They will never be content." Bristol stood as still and stoic as possible so the others wouldn't notice how much the thoughts were affecting her mood. Yeah, just put them by the tea table," she said. I'll look through them later." "Well, we'll be happy to sort through your mail if you like," Tangerina said. "Sometimes people send gifts," Skylene said. Lucy crossed her arms and scowled at the girls. "Do you guys mind?" she said. "Bristol and I were in the middle of something before you interrupted." "Actually, I was just leaving," Bristol said. "Feel free to sort through the mail and keep whatever gifts you find." Tangerina and Skylene sat on the glass sofa and excitedly went through the mail. But once again, before Bristol reached the door, they were pushed open by another guest. Esmeralda charged into the office at a determined pace, making notes on an emerald clipboard. Hey, Bristol, do you have a minute?" Esmeralda asked. "I've been going over our schedule for the next week, and I have a couple of questions for you. I'm trying to iron out all the details so there aren't any surprises. I won't go into another entitled royal situation where they take advantage of us again. Hoodwinked once, shame on them. Hoodwinked twice, shame on me." Honestly, right now isn't really a good time," Bristol said. "Yeah, don't worry, this won't take long," Esmeralda said and checked her clipboard. "Queen Equestria would like us to name a ship after you while we're in the Eastern Kingdom next week. I told her it depends on what type of ship it is. I don't want anyone using the fairy godmother to harpoon whales or whatever like that." "Yeah, good foresight," Bristol said, inching closer and closer to the door. "I agree. It totally depends on the type of ship that it is." Okay, so next, King White wants to name a holiday after you," Esmeralda said. "They want to commemorate the day that you sent the Snow Queen into seclusion. I don't really see a problem with that as long as we get to choose the name of the holiday. We should also find out what kind of festivities are going to take place on this day. We don't really want people playing Pin the Wand on the Fairy to celebrate you." Sounds good," Bristol said. Is that all?" "No, not quite. King Champion the 14th would like to place a statue of you in Chariot Hills Town Square. If you're comfortable with that, I suggest we ask for approval over the sculptor. The last thing we want is some abstract thing that traumatizes small children," Esmeralda said. Yeah, tell the king I'll get back to him on that," Bristol said and reached for them. "Now, if you please excuse me, I really do need to get some fresh air." "Bristol," Lucy said. "Are you seriously going to leave before we finish talking?" "Bristol," Tangerina said, "someone from the Northern Kingdom sent you the most beautiful bracelet. It looks gorgeous on me." "Bristol," Skylene said, "someone from the Southern Kingdom sent you a dead caterpillar. Oh, wait, no, the letter says that it's supposed to be a butterfly by the time you open it. Ugh, that's a shame." As Bristol opened the door, a bubbly old woman entered the office. She had violet hair and a purple apron and was very glad to see Bristol, but Bristol groaned at yet another visitor. "Oh, good, you're here," the old woman said. "You're a difficult person to track down. Either you're incredibly busy or incredibly good at avoiding me." Hi, Mrs. V, Bristol said. "What can I do for you?" "I was just wondering if you made a decision about that request that I had sent up to you," Mrs. V asked. Yeah, I'm sure I did," Bristol said. "Remind me again what your request was." "Well, I wanted to knock down a wall and expand out my kitchen," Mrs. V said. "We have a lot more mouths to feed than we used to, and one picture may paint 1,000 words, but one oven does not cook for 1,000 people." "Yeah, of course you can expand your kitchen, Mrs. V, Bristol said. "My apologies for not giving you an answer sooner. The council's just been really busy." As Bristol squeezed past Mrs. V in the doorway, Xanthos came running in and blocked her escape. "Hey, Bristol, I just came from the southern wing of the academy," he panted. Why? What happened?" she asked. "A spell went horribly wrong during lessons this afternoon," Xanthos said. "All the fairies on the 5th floor were shrunk to the size of pixies." "And they need me to change them back?" Actually, they want your permission to stay small. They mentioned the benefit of downsizing, but I didn't really understand the appeal anyway. They wanted to get an answer before they get their hopes up, or down, I should say. Bristol groaned and rolled her eyes. Sure, whatever they want. I don't care. Bristol pushed past Xanthos and stomped down the hall. She was used to making decisions and finding solutions, but today she felt like she was drowning in requests and questions. It's all too much. There are too many decisions to make. It shouldn't all be on your shoulders. For once, Bristol agreed with those strange thoughts. All she wanted was a few moments alone, and all she needed was a few moments of quiet, but it seemed like an impossibility. Your friends will never know what it's like. They would snap from this pressure. They'd be crushed by the responsibility. The thoughts made Bristol's heart rate rise even more and more. If she didn't get away from the others, she was afraid that she might explode. Unfortunately, as Bristol proceeded down the hall, her friends just followed her. Bristol, would you like me to send a thank you note for my bracelet? Hey, Bristol, King Champion needs an answer by tomorrow. Bristol, should I tell the small fairies that they're going to need to be worried about griffins? Bristol, honey, do you know a fairy with a specialty for renovations? Bristol, should we have a service for this caterpillar? Bristol, are we going to finish our conversation or not? Everyone, shut up! Bristol's outburst stunned the fairies, but no one was more surprised than Bristol herself. She was ashamed of raising her voice, but for the first time all day, she finally had silence, inside and outside of her head. I'm so sorry, she said. I didn't mean to shout. It's just been a really long day, and I want to be alone. Please just leave me alone. Bristol raced down the hall before her friends could respond. The fairies respected her request and didn't chase after her. My gosh, what's gotten into her? Tangerina whispered to the others. Lucy watched Bristol leave with a determined gaze. I have no idea, she whispered back, but I'm gonna find out. Bristol took a long walk to clear her head, and thankfully the unpleasant thoughts did not follow her. She was desperate to find out how and why they were happening, but unfortunately the peace and quiet didn't provide any answers. The thoughts left her in a worse mood each time they occurred, and the more she tried to understand them, the more frustrated she became. She strolled through the fairy territory, hoping the picturesque grounds would put her in a better mood. But as she walked, Bristol focused on the positivity all around her and reminded herself of all the reasons she had to be happy. Over the past year, the Celeste Weatherbury Memorial Academy of Magic had changed so much it was almost unrecognizable. The castle had expanded to nearly 10 times its original size to accommodate all the fairies who had moved there. Its shimmering towers stood over 30 stories high, and its golden walls stretched over 10 acres. And every time a new fairy arrived, the castle grew just a little bit bigger. The unicorns, griffins, and pixies were no longer endangered species, and they roam across the property in healthy-sized flocks and herds. The animals helped fertilize the land, allowing even more colorful flowers and vibrant trees to flourish than before. Everywhere Bristol looked, she saw fairies practicing magic and teaching newcomers how to develop their abilities. The fairies waved and bowed to Bristol as she walked by, and she could feel the gratitude radiating from their hearts. Thanks to her, Madame Weatherbury's small academy had transformed the fairy territory, and for the first time in history, the magical community had a safe environment where they could live in peace and thrive. All the fairies knew that Bristol was responsible for their happiness, but despite the joy she created for others, Bristol couldn't seem to muster any for herself. At dusk, Bristol walked down the cliff to the beach below the academy. She sat on a stone bench and watched the sunset. The evening sky was full of pink clouds, and the ocean sparkled as the sun sank into the horizon. It was a breathtaking sight, one of the most spectacular sunsets that Bristol had seen in the fairy territory, but even that didn't lift Bristol's spirits. Just be happy, Bristol told herself. Be happy, be happy, be happy. Sadly, no matter how many times she repeated the command, her heart didn't listen. Who are you talking to? Bristol looked over her shoulder and saw an 8-year-old girl standing on the beach behind her. The girl had big brown eyes and short, messy hair and wore stretchable clothing made from tree sap. Although she had grown a foot in the last year, to Bristol, she would always be the tiny girl that she met at the Bootstrap Correctional Facility. Hey, Pip, Bristol said. I'm sorry you caught me talking to myself. No judgment here, Pip said. Some of my best conversations are with myself. Do you want some company? More company was the last thing Bristol wanted, but since her alone time wasn't as helpful as she had hoped, Bristol welcomed the distraction, and she patted the stone bench and Pip took a seat beside her. How are your lessons coming along? Bristol asked. Oh, good, Pip said. I've completed my improvement, rehabilitation, and manifestation lessons, and tomorrow I start working on imagination. Well, that's wonderful. Have you been working on your specialty too? Oh, I have. Watch this. Pip removed a ring from her pocket and showed Bristol how she could squeeze her entire arm through it as if her limb were made of clay. Whoa, very impressive, Bristol said. Yesterday, I squeezed my whole body into a pickle jar, Pip said. Unfortunately, I was stuck in it for 3 hours. Getting into things is much easier than getting out of them, but I guess that's life for you. Yeah, I wish I had been there to help you. The Fairy Council's been so busy I barely get a moment to myself anymore. Everyone's talking about your visit to the Western Kingdom. I heard it was a smash. It was a little too eventful for my taste, but we still helped a lot of people and we made them very happy in the process, so yeah, I guess that's all that matters. You don't look very happy, though, Pip noticed. Is something bothering you? Bristol faced the sunset and sighed. She didn't have the strength to hide anymore. Yeah, happiness is difficult for me at the moment, she confessed. Don't get me wrong, I do want to be happy. There's just so much to be grateful for, but for some reason, I can't stop having negative thoughts about everything. Feels like I'm stuck in a pickle jar of my own. Are you sure you're being negative? Pip asked. I know from experience there's a thin line between negativity and just being realistic. When I was living in bootstraps, there were days that I would wake up thinking, wow, I'm going to be here forever. And other days I would wake up thinking, dang, I'm going to be here forever. But they were definitely different points of view. No, I'm definitely being negative, Bristol said. My thoughts put me in a horrible mood and they make me feel restless and paranoid. Like, gosh, I just wish Madame Weatherberry was still here. She would know exactly how to help me. Well, if she was here, what would she tell you? Pip asked. Bristol closed her eyes and imagined Madame Weatherberry was sitting beside her. A bittersweet smile came to her face as she remembered her mentor's bright violet eyes and the soft touch of her gloved hands. Well, she'd probably encourage me to get to the root of the problem, Bristol said. Honestly, I think being the fairy godmother is just taking too much of a toll on me. I knew it would be a lot of responsibility, but there's an emotional component that I never expected. Really? Pip said. How so? Bristol went as quiet as she thought about it. The feeling was difficult to explain to herself, let alone someone else. Well, the world knows and loves me for a quality I used to hide and hate for myself, she said. And even though I know I have nothing to fear or be ashamed of, deep down I'm still carrying that fear and shame with me. Somewhere along the line I got so busy changing the world, I guess I forgot to change myself with it. And now that I think of all those old feelings, they're starting to play tricks on me. The fresh insight didn't solve her problem, but it did make Bristol feel a little better. Pip looked across the ocean with a somber gaze, as if she knew exactly what Bristol was talking about. Yeah, I think I understand, she said. When I was at Bootstrap, I never felt like I belonged there. I mean, I would have been weird if I felt like I belonged there. But even though I live in the fairy territory now, the emptiness has stayed with me. It's like, since no one taught me how to belong somewhere, I just feel hollow everywhere I go. I suppose I'm carrying old feelings too. Bristol felt sorry for Pip. She wished she was in a better state of mind to help her. Maybe belonging can't be taught, she said. Maybe it's something that we have to practice. Pip nodded. Yeah, maybe happiness is too, she said. The girls exchanged half-hearted smiles and watched the rest of the sunset in silence. The tranquility was interrupted shortly after by the sound of whispering. Oh, look, there she is. Shh, don't make any sudden movements. Bristol turned around and saw Tangerina and Skyline on the bench behind her. It's all right, she said. I'm not going to yell at you again. Sorry, we know you want to be alone, Tangerina said. It's just, something came in the mail and we think you should see it, Skyline said. Who's it from? Bristol asked. Tangerina and Skyline glanced at each other with concern. Your family, they said. Bristol's heart suddenly sank into the pit of her stomach. She hadn't spoken to anyone in her family in over a year. It must have been important if they were reaching out to her. Bristol jumped up from the bench that Tangerina handed her a square envelope. Unlike the other letters, this envelope was addressed to Bristol Evergreen instead of the fairy godmother, and her family's home was listed as the return address. Bristol opened the envelope and found a thick card with a cheerful lettering inside. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Deputy Justice Barry Evergreen and Lady Penny Charming. November 16th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the Evergreen Residence, 481 East Countryside Road, Chariot Hill, Southern Kingdom. We look forward to celebrating with you. In lieu of gifts, please donate to the Chariot Hills Home for the Helpless. Oh my gosh, Bristol said. What is it? Tangerine asked with bated breath. My brother's getting married. Oh, thank God, Skylene said. I was afraid someone died. Bristol didn't know what was more shocking, the idea of Barry being someone's husband or the fact that she was invited to go to the wedding. Hey, congratulations, Pip said. That should make you happy. Bristol agreed, but despite the wonderful news, she felt just as melancholy as before. Yeah, you're right, Bristol said. It should make me happy. It should. Yeah, Charming was unexpected, right? I thought that they were, maybe it's a cousin of the King Charmings? I don't know. Lady Charming? Maybe it's a sister? I don't know. Well, that was sad. I know, Barry's getting married, of all people. Wild. He talks like this, that he's gonna be somebody's husband. I know, isn't that cute? We're ended on a wedding announcement. That's really cute. Aww. What?
No, this is amazing.
Well, all right. I will see you all tonight for Roll for Slime. But again, this is the last book club until Monday next week because there is a wedding happening. Yay!
Who's?
I don't know. Somebody that I heard about.
Okay.
So I will see you all later, and I hope you have hey Renee, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until then, don't forget that pre-orders for Patreon end on Thursday, and that is the whole kit and caboodle. And I will see you all tonight for Roll for Slime. If you haven't signed up but you are owed a Roll for Slime, please go sign up. I'm trying to get as many done as possible, and I will see you later. Bye guys.